Навколо прямий ефір. Навколо прямий ефір.
Друзі, усім привіт! 17:07 на годинку. Радіо Сковорода повертається у прямий ефір. Сьогодні ми ефіримо з Українського католицького університету, з Львівської бізнес-школи з прекрасним видом на щойно відкриту бібліотеку імені Андрея Шептицького. Друзі, хто тут ще не був, на цьому тижні вам рекомендую відвідати з дітьми прийти. Це справді чудесне місце, це справді духовне місце, справді дуже красиве місце. І з тою, знаєте, архітектурою, яка справді вписується в львівське середовище, тим модерним таким подухом, якого бракує. За що дякуємо Укуші, вони завжди справді знаходять такі класні варіанти, як інтегрувати щось нове в урбаністичний простір міста. І скажу вам чесно, я був тиждень тому в бібліотеці Шептицького, там ще дуже багато було роботи, навіть газону цього прекрасного не було. Зараз воно все є, тому великий окремий респект проектним менеджерам Українського католицького університету, які заменеджили весь той факт, що бібліотека Шептицького відкрилась і виглядає вона прекрасно, і запрошуємо всіх на тиждень святкувань УКУ, насправді, щоб відвідати бібліотеку, подивитися, що УКУ зараз робить, чим займається, чим воно живе і чим воно дихає, скажімо так. Але сьогодні в ET-News такий форс-мажор, але в позитивному сенсі цього слова. В УКУ завжди приїжджають топові гості, в Львівську бізнес-школу зокрема, і сьогодні у нас в гостях один з таких топових гостей. Якщо я скажу назву компанії IBM, я думаю, нам багато чого скаже. Якраз наш колега, наш інтерв'юер, який буде сьогодні розповідати про те, чим він займається в компанії, Стівен Руsso. Він, до речі, є членом наглядової ради, напевно, борду, можна сказати, з питань етики та технологій Львівської бізнес-школи, а в компанії IBM він займається публічною безпекою, це така навіть зовнішня безпека, камер спостереження, оцей весь трекінг. І що дуже насправді цікаво, в контексті УКУ важливо, він є також діаконом Східної католицької церкви русинської, так, якщо я не помиляюся, у Штатах. І що взагалі дуже цікаво, як це гарно поєднується, знаєте, моральне, духовне і технологічне, і знову ж таки в УКУ, і знову ж таки це на співпадіння. З вами Ярослав Назар, переходимо на англійську, думаю, вам це буде легко. Hi, Steve. It's a pleasure to meet you. You've came on the weekend when we have a good weather, not raining, not snowing, which is basically normal for Lviv in this time.
Yes, absolutely beautiful weather, and I had the great opportunity to be here for the opening of the Sheptitsky Center and for the initial tour. A fabulous building and amazing growth in the university I'm seeing.
How do you like the library itself, when you have experience in such libraries in United States, how Lviv in this segment is going well, is going on a good direction in doing these cool modern libraries?
Yes, I'll answer it this way. I had the opportunity to be here last year when it was just under construction, and really seeing the university and the innovative way that the students are being taught here, and then to see the library and the center as it's being opened, it is truly state of the art. It is incorporating design with the ability to learn in new and creative ways, allowing areas of collaboration as well as teaching, as well as pieces which would be considered as a traditional library. And combining all of those together is very unique, and is something, honestly, that I have not seen in other universities as I work in various areas around the globe.
Great, thank you for such kind words and such warm words. I want to continue our conversation more about IBM and what you're doing in the company. And basically what I know, you're working in a segment of public security. They're outdoor security, and recently, in Ukraine, we had not so many companies which are doing almost the same. We have one company in Kyiv, startup called Ajax Systems, and they're working in this segment of outdoor security, but they're just a startup for right now. And from the point of view of IBM, how good is to have this vector of going into public security, and which are concerned pros and cons of doing these technologies in this segment for the citizens, for the city, and for public security itself in general?
Yes, so I'll answer it in this way. So the work that I do is for a variety of systems in cities. Public safety and security are key with activities and things that are happening around the world. We find more and more the need to keep people secure and allow for commerce. So if we think about the importance, people will not do business and cities will not grow if they don't have a safe and secure environment. And the systems and solutions that we put in place to allow them to have that safety and security are really allowing for economic growth. So the safety and security is the initial aspect, but then putting solutions in place which allow these cities and these organizations to grow is key. So we allow for innovation, for startups, and creating that environment which it allows them to flourish. So that is the concentration of putting these solutions together and in a place that allow these environments to grow. The cities around the world are growing in many areas, and we see in the Ukraine how they're really coming through a transition from moving from manufacturing to high tech and IT growth, and having the catalyst and having the environment that ensures and allows for investment we find to be critical. So that is what we are looking at, is how we can enable that investment in allowing these cities to grow.
So how it is going to work, your solution for the public security? Like, do you have some some kind of IoT devices maybe which will work with the corporate offices, maybe for the whole city, for the city halls, like to implement the things on the streets of the city? So what is the concept and how it works?
So it's a difficult balance, and first of all, cities around the globe unfortunately do not have endless amounts of investment, and they need to take advantage of what they have. So what we look at is, first of all, what they do have and how we can take advantage of that investment and really make it more intelligent. So security cameras, devices that are out there today, traffic monitoring and traffic lights, being able to use those devices that exist and to be able to collect additional information from them, as well as what we see in the public sector with citizens. Citizens now, the majority are carrying around smartphones. Those can become smart devices on locations of people to predict traffic situations, other types of flow, and where people can now report incidents very easily. So being able to incorporate and bring together data from investment that was already made by the cities, but also in new ways. Now that we are in the internet age and the interconnection between devices and people, we can now cull out a lot of that information to help and assist with security.
But about the traffic congestions, like I think Google Maps is already doing a good job in predicting traffic congestions, even like in Ukraine. It's really useful right now, like pretty accurate, I would say.
And that's true. And now you think about how a city would now use that to be able to look at it over time. How am I using my investment to improve roads? Where is the traffic for periods of time? How can I potentially change roadways to reduce the amount of traffic? So it's a different focus than something like Google Maps, where I can see my route to get from point A to point B, but to really look in the future of now how can I improve it and take into account the growth over time, or when an event happens. So let's say I have something like IT weekend that's going to happen in Kiev this week, where I may have thousands of people coming into a certain area. I can monitor how that event has transpired, and then next year be able to use some of that information to improve the flow of people, to allow people to get in and out easier. So it is looking one aspect of real time, but also how am I now able to use that information to grow and really improve.
You've also mentioned that this solution will provide, like, when people have the smartphones and they can be like communicators with like the traffics, with all the things, they also can, like, regular people can communicate like with the system what should or what can be changed. But basically, aren't this solution like influencing the privacy of the people? Isn't it that the concern, like privacy of the people, the private space and all this stuff, aren't this like on the way of implementing these solutions in different countries, different cities?
And I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the areas here which I help to advise is in the Institute of the Business School for Ethics and Technology. So when information is provided, it can be used in very good ways, some of which we've discussed here. It can also be used in bad ways if it is compromised or people find that information. And it it is up to individuals, and we had a session earlier today about how much we as individuals give up, and we give up freely. When an application asks if we are willing to give up our location, very often we do that for convenience.
Like for Instagram, I think.
For Instagram, for Facebook, for GPS systems. And it is convenient to do that, but how much of that information do we give up, and how much of our privacy do we willingly give over to various groups, and the concern of not using that in appropriate ways. So this is a major focus area. We have not conquered it yet because it really involves who you're giving the information to, what people are willing to give up, and really people understanding their own, how to control their own privacy. And that is something where I do believe with the advancements of technology, individuals do not realize how much of their privacy they willingly give up by doing searches with major internet search engines, and using email, which is free email, which is never free, because they can use and scan words to target marketing and for other reasons to understand your activities. So it is a concern on how this data is used, and we will have to define over time, and we are, to ensure that people truly understand what they are giving over and how it's being used.
Are the technologies already implemented in some cities, maybe in the United States, as a pilot country for testing this project? Like, do you have maybe already some results, some data to analyze?
Yes, we do. A lot in Europe. So we do have cities in Europe, in Eastern Europe, some in the United States as well. Amazingly, in Europe and in Africa, we see the adoption of these solutions faster than the US, because the investment that is being made, and in some areas they have US basic solutions that were put in place, and they don't have the investment to make. But we do have cities in Eastern Europe, and Southern Poland is one of our key solution areas which we are expanding. Katowice is a major growing area that uses some of these solutions, and we're starting to see more growth in Europe and in Africa, as they're really looking to revamp their IT systems and to expand the cities, and to be able to deal now with some impending threats that we see in the European Union overall.
Continuing about the threats with these terror attacks recently in Nice, in Paris, in other cities through Western Europe, does your system have a solution to predict such things, maybe to help the police, even to foresee that something is going to happen, or it's pretty hard to predict, even hard to to find out this car or this man threat?
Yes, and both are actually true. In some cases, it's very difficult to predict. If an individual decides one day and has not communicated with others that they are going to take a truck and drive it through a crowd of people, this is very difficult to predict. And sometimes impossible. But there are warning signs, and very often these attacks are well financed and well organized. And we can do quite a bit of work with intelligence agents, providing the underlying tools that can help them to see patterns, to help them to see potential threats. What we of course hear on the news about these attacks when they occur. What we don't hear about is the many attacks which actually have been stopped and have been averted because of technology. And unfortunately, law enforcement professionals, we provide technology, but we are not law enforcement professionals. They have to be right 100% of the time. The attackers only have to get it right once. So many of them are stopped. So there is a certain amount of prediction that can be done with the technology, and there's work going on to increase that so we can learn from previous attacks and avoid it going forward, and be ready for the next potential.
But let's hope there won't be any
absolutely
in time. Continuing about the smart city solution, if I'm right, your solution helps not only for public security, to prediction of some potential threats, but also to help the city, I think, be more productive in a way of using resources for the city, like energy resources, water resources, etc., etc. So how does it work in this case?
Exactly. As you said, we really focusing on how we can make the cities more effective and to do more with the budgets that they have as they're growing. So we see cities around the globe growing. People are moving from the country areas and more towards the cities because of jobs and other opportunities. With that, there's a strain on resources, electricity, water, waste management. So being able to use technology to manage it more effectively. We have solutions, for example, in water management, where we have partnered with a large global provider that has subject matter expertise in this area, being able to detect leakages, being able to detect contamination earlier before it gets through systems, to being able to predict, because of the infrastructure, when there may be a failure to a pipeline because of when it was installed and other weather conditions and so forth. So we're able to do a lot of that prediction, because if you can fix something before it actually breaks, or if you can stop an attack before it happens, it's much less expensive to the city. So we are seeing results like that, and being able to now get the economic engine back on its feet when we do have accidents or other either humanly caused incidents or incidents that may be because of some malicious behavior of an attacker, and being able to manage that incident effectively. So both proactively of trying to detect and solve things or handle things before disaster happens, and when it does happen, to be able to react more rapidly.
Maybe you have some data, like in money, in percentage, how much city can save its own budget, its own money, using like your solutions in percentage, like 20% of the money can be saved, like just using these solutions for like energy economy, water economy, etc.
Yes, and it does vary depending on where we are and how it's implemented, but we have seen instances where we've had 10 to 20 to 30% savings in budget, and 4 to 5 times faster response time to incidents, and bringing the economic engine back on its feet. So there are a number of situations we try to monitor these installations and really gauge how much savings they have, because in the end, really the only reason why you would invest is if you can make people's lives better, you can save money, or you can allow the economic engine to increase and these cities to grow. So there's more tax revenue, and they're able to do more. So it's very important that we monitor these things. In the area of public safety, though, sometimes it's difficult to put an estimate on the savings of something not happening. And that sometimes is difficult. It's a bit abstract. So if you think about it, and on this day where we remember the attacks in New York on September 11th, if you try to put investment in place before that happened, saying we can prevent this disaster which caused millions of lives and billions of dollars of economic loss, it would probably be unlikely you'd get that investment. But now, as these things are happening, people are seeing that it's critical. In the case of Nice, obviously the loss of human life is precious, and no price can be put on it. But the loss of from a financial aspect, because of tourism declines and so forth, can really cause major devastation to a city. So it's important that we look at all of those aspects, and it's important that we educate our city leaders on what they may need to do and how they can really leave their cities after they leave office better than the way they found them.
Yeah, but like in a way, these numbers are really huge. Like for savings for the here, like 30%, up to 30% of the budget, it's really awesome. But like it cannot be counted in the case of the people and people's lives. And yeah, I hope like the cities and the city leaders will understand that this is something to invest in really fast. And right now, I think like for the future. And one of the cases I see right now in the world, that people are willing to invest in their own like safety for the future, even not seeing the results right now. I think that's some kind of a change in global minds of the people.
Yes, it is. If we think about in democratic societies, unfortunately, elected officials very often think about what it takes to get them reelected. And if something hasn't happened for 20 years, they may not invest in preventing it from happening because it's not showing real advantage to their constituents, those who will reelect them. So educating them on the risks that they have, but also showing the possibility of creating a better economic climate that encourages external investment, encourages companies, encourages startups. It all becomes part of this. We can no longer look at these city solutions as just an expense, but that it is an investment. And what and how will they gain a return on that investment in, again, economic growth or efficiencies in being able to do more with less.
Thank you, Steve. I think that's all before the break. We will listen to some short track Nazar Kuzma will put on. And afterwards, I want to continue some questions about how do you see Ukrainians' future, like when we are going on this vector of high tech industry and IT? What can be done still, and what is already done, and what changes do you see, like from your visit in Ukraine and knowing some news about Ukraine? Друзі, повернемось до вас вже за кілька хвилин. Залишайтеся з Радіо Сковорода. Нагадую, що ми спілкуємося з директором з питань публічної безпеки і смарт-сіті компанії IBM Стівеном Russo. Повернемось до вас вже за 3 хвилинки. Дочекайтесь.
Твоє місце, де твоя душа, тепер з тобою текіла п'є наш душа, в тому році люба, чиї то слова, більше кажи. Я вкладаю кожній жінці, я вкладаю кожній жінці, я б'ю спідниць, ліліту джинса. Shake, shake your ass, bitches. Де твоє серце, де твоя жага, таємні сенси блукають по ці облуди, люба, кому ті слова, більше кажи, більше кажи, більше, більше. Я вкладаю кожній жінці, я вкладаю кожній жінці, не б'ю спідниць, ліліту джинса. Я вкладаю кожній жінці, я вкладаю кожній жінці, не б'ю спідниць, ліліту джинса. Shake, shake your ass, bitches.
Радіо Сковорода повертається в прямий ефір. Друзі, нагадую, що з вами IT News, які в такому позитивному форс-мажорі сьогодні вибігли ефір. Ефіримо ми сьогодні з Українського католицького університету. І вибігли ми в ефір з одної простої причини, з тих прекрасних гостей, які приїжджають в Україну в ОКУ до Львова Львівську бізнес-школу. У мене зараз в гостях вже 20 хвилин директор з питань публічної безпеки компанії IBM, який займається рішеннями для смарт-сіті рішеннями, провадження питань там публічної безпеки, outdoor security, Стівен Russo. Ми вже буквально 20 хвилин проговорили про їхні технології, їхні рішення, які вони пропонують для міст, як воно справді впливає на розвиток в майбутньому, наскільки важливі насправді такі інвестиції в майбутнє, бо воно, в принципі, вирішує багато питань людської безпеки і такої превентивних заходів для тих загроз, які нас, в принципі, очікують зараз кожного дня. І те, що ми хотіли би зараз продовжити, те, про що ми продовжимо говорити, про місце України десь в цьому світі, та як українське ІТ, в принципі, зараз рухається в цьому питанні, як воно займає свою нішу. І також один важливий кейс, наприклад, який треба згадати, що Стівен в Україні ще буде 16 вересня на конференції IT Weekend, він буде keynote-спікером події, тому якщо ви ще не купили квиточки до Києва, не купили квиточки на конференцію, поспішіть. І ми знову переходимо на англійську. So, Steven, about like Ukrainians' future in this tech segment, in world tech segment, like from recent years visiting Ukraine, what do you see? What do you see like the progress of IT community, IT companies in Ukraine being like helpful thing worldwide, and you have these global changes in the world?
I have to say I've been extremely impressed with what I've seen. First of all, my first experience here at the Ukrainian Catholic University and their method of teaching, and the students here, and the real deep understanding of technology and really growing. What I see being created is the foundation for numerous startups. And in various areas around the world that we see that are able to really grow these startups, I see the Ukraine as being a seed for a really bright future in technology. So as it's emerging from a different generation, and the education institutes like this of being able to educate in a very different way. This is key. And the reason why I stress different is because that really implies innovation. What happens in many areas of the world where it's strictly just pure outsourcing and help for hire, it doesn't encourage looking at doing things in a new and a different way. As technology is moving so quickly and the world is becoming a very interconnected place, our company does business in 160 countries around the world. I have the opportunity to work in many different areas and different environments, and to work in a business climate that allows interoperability and allows for students to exchange ideas with others outside the boundaries of the country, it is very important. So I see the people in the technology field that I've encountered and worked with, from both startup organizations to established companies to students, to be very high caliber, and that they have great desire to do great things. And that catalyst, I think, is very important. And some of the oppression that had come from many years in the past sometimes does help. As they say, steel becomes harder as it's in the fire. We see that, and I see that there is not a complacency. There's a real desire to progress and to learn, and institutions like this that are emerging and growing. In just my experience in a few years with the university, I've seen tremendous growth and really tremendous innovation of looking at how to teach and how to gain knowledge in a different way. And that, I think, is critically important to growth.
I hope that will continue, this growth will continue, and like in the recent future we'll see results which will be brought by students of the Ukrainian Catholic University. Maybe one of the last questions for the viewers, for the listeners of the Radio Skovroda, maybe you can like tell us some insights about your speech that will be at the IT Weekend this Saturday, something that people should know and why they should visit and listen for your speech.
Okay, thank you. So what I'll be talking about at the IT Weekend is about the balance between privacy and security. What do we give up when we give up some of our privacy for the purpose of convenience, but also to allow for more security, and hopefully to give some insights and some things that people never considered before when they are working on a daily basis through social media, through collaboration, and what we've seen as far as breaches, and how as individuals we all need to take responsibility for our own privacy.
Окей, thanks. Друзі, це був Стівен Руссо, компанія IBM, директор з публічної безпеки, смарт-сіті солюшенів, які втілюються. Зокрема, будемо раді, якщо незабаром IBM прийде до Львова, також зі своїми рішеннями щось тут змінювати, хоча в нас все так непогано рухається, але, як то кажуть, одна голова добре, дві голови краще, якщо одна з них – це компанія IBM. Це була IT News, ми не прощаємось, ми зараз будемо продовжити наш такий маленький марафон класних гостей. Нагадую, що доповідь Стівена Руссо можна буде побачити, почути, послухати, з ним ще поспілкуватися на конференції IT Weekend, яка буде незабаром, вже 16 вересня, і там буквально вже за 2 тижні також, думаю, ми Стівена зустрінемо. Можете зустріти на конференції IT Arena, яка також вже буде у Львові на стадіоні Арена Львів. То був Ярослав Назар Кузьма, Андрій Чемес, який є за камерою, він вам махає. Ми не прощаємось, повернемось до вас вже за кілька хвилин.